Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're just going to wait a few more minutes for some more folks to join. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to give it maybe one more minute to let some more folks join. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Office of Energy Infrastructure Safeties, or Energy Safeties, public meeting to consider adoption of Energy Safety's Safety Culture Assessment Guidelines. I am Susie Rose. I'm the Program Manager for the Electrical Safety Policy Division at Energy Safety, and I have been delegated the authority to adopt these guidelines by Energy Safety's Deputy Director. Joining me today is Lauren Sabin. Before I hand the meeting over to him, I'd like to provide an overview of Energy Safety's Safety Culture Assessment, or SCA, guidelines and our SCA process. In preparation for the upcoming Safety Culture Assessment cycle, Energy Safety submitted its recommendations for the Safety Culture Assessment process to the California Public Utilities Commission in November of 2023. The process was adopted by the Commission and as submitted by Energy Safety. The SCA guidelines we are considering here today are the result of that process. That is the process that was adopted by the Commission is the framework for conducting Energy Safety's safety culture assessments. The SCA guidelines set forth the specifics of the safety culture assessment and the requirements for each electrical corporation. After adoption, Energy Safety will begin to undertake its 2024 safety culture assessments. The SCA guidelines will enable Energy Safety to continue to develop a deeper understanding of utilities' safety culture and compare safety cultures across utilities. Thank you again for being here, and I'll now hand the meeting over to Lauren Sabin.
You see me now? Okay, well, morning or good afternoon, everyone. Our agenda for this meeting is an overview of the safety culture assessment process, changes to the safety culture assessment guidelines, a review of the written public comments received during the open comment period, opportunity for additional public comment during this meeting, and then a review and adoption of the guidelines and closing remarks. We'll start with the safety culture assessment overview. The purpose of the safety culture assessments are to assess safety culture maturity across electric corporations over time. Second, to identify best practices and gain an understanding of the strengths and opportunities in designing and implementing a strong safety culture. And thirdly, to foster continuous and collaborative improvement and learning. The core components of the SCA process for both large electrical corporations, small multi-jurisdictional utilities, and independent transmission owners is shared in the table on the screen in front of you. The components include the management self-assessment and summary plan, which is applicable to just the large electrical corporations, safety culture objectives and lessons learned, which is applicable to all three categories of of utilities, a workforce survey, which is attributable to the large electrical corporations and small multi-jurisdictional utilities, and then finally, follow-up interviews or focus groups are required of the large electrical corporations. They are not required of the small multi-jurisdictional utilities and independent transmission owners, but they may be requested at Energy Safety's discretion. Now, moving on to changes to the safety culture assessment guidelines from 2023 to 2024. The following changes were made to the SCA guidelines from 2023 to 2024. First, background and contextual information was streamlined, which included the removal of the conclusion section. Minor changes were made to subsections in section 5.3 of the guidelines to clarify the various components and goals of the workforce survey. And then the subsection titled Progress on the Previous Year's Recommendations was added to section 5.3 to provide clarity of reporting progress on the previous year's safety culture assessment. We'll move on to received written public comments. Public comments were received from the joint utilities, collectively being Pacific Gas and Electric, Southern California Edison, and San Diego Gas and Electric. Those comments were received on December 2nd, 2024. The joint utilities submitted the following comments. One, a recommendation of to standardize the timing of the safety culture assessment process. Number two, a recommendation to coordinate the energy safety SCA with other regulatory safety culture efforts. And third, a request for clarification on duplicated management self-assessment questions. The California Association of Small and Multi-Jurisdictional Utilities, which is composed of Bear Valley Electric Services, Liberty Utilities, and PacifiCorp, submitted reply comments on December 12th, 2024. The reply comments stated support for the following recommendations submitted by the joint utilities on December 2nd, 2024. Number one, the recommendation to standardize the timing of the safety culture assessment process. And number two, a recommendation to coordinate the energy safety SCA with other regulatory safety culture efforts. Energy safety in response to written comments 1 and 2 provided by the joint utilities. Energy safety will consider those recommendations for the Energy safety will consider the recommendation for the standardization of the timing of the safety culture assessment process and the recommendation for coordination of the energy safety SCA with other regulatory safety culture efforts in future years. In response to written public comment number 3, which is the request for clarification on duplicated management self-assessment questions. Energy Safety made non-substantive edits to section 3.4, table 2.1, table 2.2, and table 3.4 in the proposed final safety culture assessment guidelines to correct typos and errors in the draft safety culture assessment guidelines. The proposed final was published on Friday, December 13th for review prior to this meeting. And now we will open up the meeting for any additional public comment at this time. If you wish to comment, please press the raise hand button on Teams. Participants will be unmuted in the order of hands raised, and any dial-in participants that would like to comment will need to press *5 to raise their hand. We'll allow 1 additional minute for any public comments to be requested. Okay, I can't see. Okay, looks like there are no public comments at this time. Okay, now we'll move forward with the adoption of the safety culture assessment guidelines and closing remarks.
We now move to the portion of this public meeting where we consider adoption of the safety culture assessment guidelines. Energy Safety issued notice of this public meeting on November 8th, 2024, providing at least 10 days notice to the public as required by Government Code Section 15475.6. Government Code 15475.6 also provides that substantive changes to guidelines require at least 30 days written notice to the public and an opportunity to comment prior to adoption. Energy Safety introduced some modifications for the new SCA guidelines as summarized in Lauren's presentation. However, the Safety Culture Assessment Guidelines are similar to the previously adopted 2023 Safety Culture Assessment Guidelines. Energy Safety released its draft Safety Culture Assessment Guidelines on November 8th, 2024 on the SCA Guidelines docket through Energy Safety's e-filing system with service to the associated service list. Energy Safety also published the draft guidelines on its website. Energy Safety provided a 30-day comment period to stakeholders. We received public comments through December 2nd, 2024, and reply comment through December 12th, 2024. We evaluated those comments to develop the final Safety Culture Assessment Guidelines here before us today. The final Safety Culture Assessment Guidelines contain non-substantive changes from the draft guidelines Energy Safety issued on November 8th, 2024. Energy Safety has considered written comments in developing the SCA guidelines. The final Safety Culture Assessment Guidelines are hereby adopted. A clean version of the final guidelines will be published on Energy Safety's website and released on the SCA Guidelines docket through Energy Safety's e-filing system with service to the associated service list by tomorrow, December 17th, 2024. Thank you for your participation in today's public meeting, and the meeting is now adjourned.